Hey guys, so this video I'm going to show you how to set up a service account using Xano. First of all, I want to thank Ray Deck of StateChange.ai. He's awesome, and I had read this document many times over, but I would get lost somehow, some way. And Ray Deck helped me step by step to making this work. And I hope this video helps someone who is trying to use Xano to use a Google service account, so that way you can continuously use it without having to reauthenticate every 60 minutes, which I was doing, and it was not great. Okay, so we'll start from the beginning. So here I'm setting up a new workspace in Xano. See, I don't know if this matters or not, so I'll just say I'm just getting started, which front end I'm using high level, which it's not really, I mean it is, but anyways, I'll just say other, and I can put and I just want to start fresh. And what's really cool is that Xano gives you some starter templates. Get started, and I will say, so I'll just connect this, name it Xano, for testing Xano, and then Google setup. Okay. You can, of course, name your workspace anything that you want. Let's click continue. And again, here are some starter templates, but I want to start from scratch. And I'll create these tables later. So we'll just leave the user in there. And then this is really cool. Yes, automatically do that, please, Xano. So let's continue. Can skip for now. Okay, so we'll just finish. So again, I was able to do this manually, having to regenerate an access token. You can't do that in production. My first table, I'm gonna delete my first table because let's see, settings, delete, start from scratch. Okay, confirm, delete. Okay, so we got this. And now we're gonna just do it step by step, okay? So create a service account. So that's what we're gonna do now. I'm gonna click on that button in here. Okay, here I'm gonna select my project that I've been working on. But so if you don't have a project in here, first of all, you have to have a Google Cloud account and enable billing and all that fun sort of stuff. Let's assume you have a Google Cloud account already and you're using one of the services at Google. I'm using the Dialogflow for conversational AI chat, and then Vertex for generating predictive quote prices for various types of glass for a car. So anyways, if you don't have that, you'll just create a new project and follow along the prompts. So I'm gonna just choose this. Now that we're here, I'm going to take, and I'm gonna create a new service account, and I'll be deleting this. Yeah, of course, you're gonna see everything. So I'll be deleting this service account that I do once I've shown you that it works. Again, you don't wanna be sharing this stuff with anybody. So let's just call this test Xano Google service account. Okay. Then I'm going to just say this is for testing purposes only. Hey, create and continue. Okay, the role that you're going to give this. Now, of course, you want to be as restrictive as possible, but in order to get things working, give as much auth as possible. Once you have everything working, then you can start to close down. Let's see. Dialogflow Okay, I can curve for intent, read and write session. Yeah, I'll do this now. Maybe owner. Of course, you never want to do this in production. Yeah, again, don't do this in production. I'm just doing this to make it easy for things to work, okay? And so continue. So here it says grant users access cert optional. Here, okay, service account user role. Okay, grant to deploy jobs and VMs. Service account grant users permissions to administer service account. Okay, so grant access to user groups that need to perform actions on the service account. Okay, I guess we'll leave those empty. Here is the service account. Okay, now we're going to go to the keys. Add key, create a new key in JSON, create. That's going to download the file here. And let's open that up. So it's going to look something like this. Okay. So when you download your service account, yeah, so it's gonna, so this is your service account key. Cool. Okay, so let's go back to, so we created the service account, we got the key. Okay, so we got the key here. Cool. Okay, so we're not gonna do this. We're not delegating domain wide, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so now we're going to go into Xano. Okay, the first step that we need to do is save our JSON file key format that we downloaded as a variable. So I'm going to click Manage, then click Add Variable, and we'll call it Google Service. So on Google Service, I'll call it key. Okay, so Google Service JSON, and then in the value, I'm going to copy this key, okay? Copy, and then here, just paste, import as JSON, click save. So cool, we got that part. Now, so the next thing we need to do is create a function here in Xano. We'll do add function, and we'll call this Google Service Object. Well, here, Google, here, hold on, let's see. Get Google Access Token. Okay, so that would be the name of this function, because that's what we want to do. Save. All right, so we got this function started. So now we're going to add to the function stack, and we'll create a variable by clicking on data manipulation and create a variable. So this is going, so what we just imported the key, we're going to create a variable called Google Service Object. And again, like the naming convention, you can name it whatever, but based on Ray Deck's suggestion, that's what I'm doing. Okay, and here we're going to go to the environment variable and get what we saved, Google Service JSON. And then what I'm going to do is add a filter here called JSON decode. Okay, so it decodes the value represented as JSON and returns the result. So update, save, cool, we got that, awesome. All right, now we need to create another variable, okay, and data manipulation, create a variable, and this time, this is going to be called private key. And here, this is going to, we're going to use that variable that we put on the key that we imported in the settings. Google Service Object, we're going to use dot notation to get the private key. And that was private underscore key. And the reason that I'm doing this is, okay, so let's save this, because you have to always save. If I go back into settings here, and come here, you'll notice that, let's go into private key. Where is that? Yeah, see, private underscore key. Okay. So now we're getting that, and we're just saving it as a variable called private key. Then we're going to create a claim. Again, we're creating a variable, and we'll just call it claims, and then we need to add some filters. Okay, so let's go back into, so creating a JWT. So first we need the header, right? So I'm gonna copy this. And the value, we're gonna be creating object, just putting that. And then here I'm gonna set the first is ISS, the email address of the service account. So I'll do the path ISS. And then the value is going to be Google Service Object dot client email. So as opposed to, you could paste in your client email in here, but the best way to do that is to reference that environmental variable that we created. It's much easier because then you can change it at that location. Yeah, okay, so we got the ISS. The next one is a scope, okay? So whatever Google service that you're using will have scopes. Right now I'm going to just enter in the Google Dialogflow CX. I am using Vertex. Well, here, let me just show you both. Let's set, okay, update. Always remember to update and save, because if you do all this work and you click out, it will not save. However, if you click save, the thing is it gets you out, but you just have to click back in. So let's do another set. And this one is going to be called scope. Okay, that's the path. And here, the scope for Dialogflow is, in that case, I'm going to here. And if you wanted to add other scopes to your service account, you can just hit space delimited. So space. And then I'm not going to use Vertex. I'm not going to put that scope in here. However, if you are like multiple stuff, just give a space and then just enter whatever other scopes that you want. So this is just for Dialogflow CX scope. Okay, so no space here. So I'm going to click save. Okay, and then update. We'll do another set, and then so we did the scope, AUD, a descriptor of the intended target of the assertion. When making access token request, this value is always this. Okay, so the path is going to be AUD, and the value is that, because it's always. However, see, again, you could just paste it in, but we don't need to, because we have that here in this object right here. And we'll use dot notation, and it is token.ur. So the file that we downloaded, that is here. Okay, so update, got that. Now we need to do expiration. So we'll do another set, and we'll call this EXP. And then the value is going to, so essentially, I think this is like seconds. See, the time certain, okay, ends in seconds since. So essentially, yeah, so this is like seconds since January 1st, 1970. And the way we get that is by using now, which is the time. And we're going to add some filters on here to get into the right format. And then we'll use divide. We'll divide by 1,000, okay? Then we're going to add to that 60 seconds, or just 60, okay? And then update, let's see if I did this right. So divide by 1,000, oh, okay. So here I did not. So divide, then add another filter here, not there, yeah, sorry. So divide by 1,000, add 60, let's update. And I am looking at the example that started working yesterday. to just like show you how it's done, right? Then we need to floor it because this will give you like some digit after the period. So we'll use the floor filter, rounds the decimal down to its integer equivalent. Again, update. Nope. Okay, so that is in the wrong place. Okay. So let me. So would it? Yeah, I think it would be. Yeah. Okay, so floor update. Okay, that looks right. Awesome. I'm going to just save this because, like I said, if you click outside, it's going to just not save anything. So it's always a good idea to always save. So now we need to set the IAT, the time the assertion was issued. Okay, and here we'll do a set, and we'll do the path as IAT. And same thing, we'll do the timestamp as now. We'll add some filters to it. So divide, do the same thing by 1,000. Okay, update, and I just want to make sure that kind of looks right. Okay, divide by 1,000, and then floor it. Okay, then hit save. So that should give us our claim. Now, there is a, let's see, what is it called? Okay, so we're going to do a stop and debug, and that is utility function, which I found out about yesterday. It was so awesome. You can do so much stuff, and unless you read about it or know about it or someone shows you, you don't know about it. Yeah, this is a very useful. Okay, so stop and debug. Here, let me just, I'm going to delete this. Do it again. Okay, so utility function, stop and debug. Okay, and we want to look at what the claim looks like. So let's run this, and then we'll do run. Yep, so that kind of looks like what's showing here. Okay, awesome. So we got that. Cool. Cool. Now we need to add another function. It's gonna be called AWS encode. So it's in security, AWS encode, and then the header is going to be like this, right? And one thing that's really awesome about Xano is what I'm about to show you. It's crazy, okay? In the headers, I'm click X, and I'm gonna just copy what I pasted, and it imports it. Import, and boom, it just does like the hard work for you. Okay, that's good. Now the claims is the claims that we made here that you saw. The key is going to be the private key. Okay, so here, that's awesome. Then for the signature, we're going to use RS256, and we're going to say, hey, this token that it generates, we want it to be valid for 60 seconds. Because, yeah, you'll see why you might think, oh, I want to do so many hours. No, you don't. Just 60 seconds is fine, because you're going to be continuously getting new tokens, and you just don't want them to last for that long. And I'm going to rename this called signed UT token and save. All right, so now let me run this here, the stop and debug, and let's see what the signed looks like, even if maybe we can do it or not. Okay, run and debug. Okay, so that I think that is our signed token element. Cool, so we got that. And then debugger is really cool, so you can look through each of these here to see what it did. So as Google Service Object, this is what it looks like. And again, the reason I'm showing you this is because as soon as I finish this video and everything works, I'll be deleting all of this. Yeah. And again, don't throw this stuff to folks, okay? And then we were able to get us the private key here, the variables that we create as claims, then this is the signed token, and of course, here's our stop and debug. Okay, So now I can disable this so it's not going to be run. Let's go back to the documentation. Okay. So we've done this. So we've done almost everything here. Okay, so now we're gonna make the request to here. I'm gonna copy this here because I'm gonna use that feature, okay? And so the grant type, like you need this stuff here, and then the assertion is what we just generated. And so let's go back. We're gonna add external API request here. Import. So I just copied and pasted. Before I do this, let me do something else because I need that signed what it generated. I need to copy that. Okay, so I'm going to run this again. Run. So I need to copy this. Then come in here, do again this here, and then I'm going to delete this because that was just like what was shown here as an example, and I'm going to enter what we had. Wait, okay. This is what was generated for us, okay? Let's click on import, and again, it does all the magic for us. Here is the URL that we're gonna be hitting. It's a post request. The grant type is this. The assertion is this. Okay, now for the value of the assertion, we have that already, and we called it SUMJWT. So I'm going to just pick that, update, okay, looks good, save. I'm going to change it something else. So I'm going to name this as Google Service Account Token Info. Okay, now I'm going to stop and debug and look to see what that has. Google Service Account Token Info, save. Let's run and debug. And so here's our request, the response. And here you go. So it gives us this access token. Okay, so it gives us access token. Now, see, it has all these dots here, periods. Now, if you try to use this access token with these dots, it's not going to work. So we have to add some filters and use regex to remove this stuff, these periods that are not needed. Okay, in fact, I just saw that something. I removed those dots in another function, but it's better to do it here. See, I'm learning something. I'm sharing and I'm learning. That is awesome. Okay, so let's apply those filters to see. Then I need to create a new variable. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. Okay, plus sign, create variable. It's always, according to Redeck, it's always a good idea to create a new variable based on the value of the previous variable, as opposed to trying to update it, because it avoids a lot of issues. So that's what I'm going to do. And then we can call this clean. Okay, because we're going to remove those periods so it's ready to go and to be used. And call Google Service Account, call it access token. Okay, and then the value that we're going to use is that. Okay, here I'm going to add a filter to here so it removes those periods. And let's see, regex replace, I believe, is what I ended up using. Okay. Done. Okay, filter, regex replace. Okay. Let me think about some stuff because, okay, yeah, just, I'll be right back. Okay, so in the value, I'm going to use, so this regex format. So essentially, this is going to remove those dots. Then I'm going to add a filter called regex replace, and the subject is going to be the Google Service Account Token, and I think we called it, Google Service Account Token Info. Update and save. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so we called the clean Google Service Account Token. Save. Let's run this again. See? Okay. And he gave us array. Google Service Account token. Let's look in here. Response. Oh, okay. So I know what happened. So I need to get the, okay, cool. Here I need to add, okay, so maybe variable name. So subject, here do access token. Make sure, and when you do this, just make sure that you have the var any, not as text, because if it's text, it's not going to work. So you need to make sure that's a variable. Hit save, okay. So now update, save, running debug, run. I'm able to locate Google Service Account, info access. Okay, let's go to debugger. Okay. So it needs to be dot response dot result and then that. Okay, so that's why it didn't work. So I need to come back in here. So it was a response. Let me click here. Okay, so response dot result dot access token. Now we should be able to get that, and it should be clean. Okay, so run and debug, run. Okay, awesome. So that is our service token that we got. Exit out of there. And now I'm going to return that variable. Clean Google Service Account. Okay, so save. And then if I run this, yep, it gives us our token that we can use to make calls to Google.Dialogflow CX. Okay, so now this function will give us that service account. Now, so we have that. Okay, so now I guess let's create another function, and we'll call this, let's see which, okay, Dialogflow CX API. Yeah, the naming convention, so that's what I can think. So I'm calling Dialogflow CX API, so save. And again, I need to build this out and do. So now we're doing the external API because we're going to call. We're going to call, what do you call it? Dialogflow CX. So here, going to paste what I was using before. And here I'm using a lot of, what do you call it? Variables, but for just showing how this is made, so I'm going to kind of put the actual variable in here. And I'm searching for Dialogflow CX main calls, and I think this is, yeah, interaction with the API. And again, what I could do is copy this right here. I just copied it. And let me close this, and then I'm going to do import curl. And then import. So here, the region ID. I know for my Dialogflow CX, the region is US-Central 1. Okay. Then the project ID. Oh yeah, and so you would get all of this info like from your Dialogflow CX. Okay, so that is, let me go to view all projects. Click here. And then copy name. So what that does, it gives us like all the stuff that we need, region ID, project ID, and so on. I'll just paste it in here. Okay, region ID, here it's US Central 1, so that's where I got that. Project ID is right here. Okay, paste that in there. Location is again US Central 1. Okay, agent is here. Session ID, you'll have to decide like how you want to, like, of course you want to pass for each user that interacts with your AI bot, like you want to somehow get their unique session ID. But right now I'm going to just like create a static session ID, and again, this is just for testing purposes, and I am using dynamic variables, but this is just for just to show. And I'm using the customer contact and my CRM as the session ID. So here I'll just call this Anaya testing DF Dialogflow CX, and then detect intent. Okay, so let's save this. Okay, now in the headers, the authorization bearer, what we're going to do, I'm going to just, you can name this whatever you want. So I'm going to just call it Google token. Okay. Let me copy that. Okay. And what's awesome, I'm going to add a filter here called replace. Then we're going to search for what I just created, that text, and we're going to replace it with our claim. Okay. Because we're using a different function, and because we didn't save that clean token in another function to like the database or environmental variables, so we can't really like access it here. So one way that what we could do, here, let me just update this and save, and we'll come back to here. So one thing I could do is, now that I have this clean Google service account access token, in fact, one thing that's really cool is I can bring in that function into this function. It's my first time trying, so let's do it. So external API, no, not that. Okay, let me delete this because we don't need it. Okay, so custom functions, and it was called get Google access token. Okay, and in the output, I'll just say we'll just call it claim. Let's see, ready Google access token, and save this. Now it's gonna save it. Response is gonna be a JSON, so maybe we need to do some stuff to get it to use it. So I'll put this on top, and then now, okay, so this is gonna throw an error, I believe. So let's come in here and do ready. See, now I can access it. So now I don't need to save that to a database. You could, and then call the database. But I think this is better. Maybe not. Let me know. It's called ready. Okay, so we got that. So now we're replacing it. Update. So yeah, so authorization bearer. Okay, this is fine. Let's save it. Oh, let me go back in and let's name it something else that makes sense. Calling. I'm going to call it calling Dialogflow CX API detect intent. Okay, so that is what I'll call it. And then return a calling detect intent. Okay, so we're missing some stuff. Yeah, the params, so that way we can send like our call. So here, there was, let's see, calling, what was it? So no, this is the service account, but there was another website that I had, interacting with your API. Yes, so the request, since we're making a request to Dialogflow CX, so I'm gonna just copy this example, go back, and in the body param, I'm going to just paste. And here imports, it's going to be text, pass text. And here you'll pass in the text from a user. Again, you want this dynamic, but right now, just for testing purposes, I'm going to just type a message. Okay, so the first thing is, hi, can I get a quote for a 2018 Toyota Camry? Okay. Save, update. Okay, so this, I'm not actually using this time zone stuff. I'm gonna just, yeah, I don't think we need it, so I'm gonna exit set. Okay, that looks pretty good. So save, cool, and we'll get the response back. See what, and now let's make a call to Dialogflow CX, and what happens? We entered in. Okay, so I entered in, hi, can I give a quote for 2018? So developed it where it's going to ask us for a number of doors, and because it's a newer model than 2011, it's going to ask us if it has certain features. Okay, that's what it should do. And this is the fun part. See if it works. Maybe not. Run. Okay, so we got something. So this is what I said. The response. See, oh, here it is. How many doors? Yay, it's working. Okay, yeah. So another cool thing about this is, so let's just say I don't want to return all of this stuff back to the user. I just want to return the question that the bot is asking only back to the user. And let's have it set up. Like I said, I'm using Go High Level API to move forward back and forth SMS conversation between a customer and the Dialogflow. This is why I love Xano, because I'm going to just copy here, and then I'm going to create another variable. Again, you could update, but like I said, the master array deck from stage change a.ai, he suggested that you want to create new variables. So create a new variable, and then what I'm going to call it is dfcx, so Dialogflow CX, and just response. What that says. Then I'm going to choose that column get, and then see the subpath. I'm going to choose this, and then I'm going to paste what I copied before and hit define. Now I can dig in, get the response right here, result, response message, text, and then that. However, see right here, certain times Dialogflow CX is going to be sending multiple different messages. By me putting the 0, the first array, it's not going to send the other messages. So in that situation, let's see, what I'm going to do is remove this out. Okay, so hit save, make sure it's a var, and then I'm going to have another filter to flatten, use the flatten, because otherwise it returns an array of objects of array, and yeah, it looks very ugly, so we're gonna flatten that and then save. Okay, now we want to use a for each loop to loop over this. Okay, so that is going to be, let me go back. Data manipulation, loops for each loop, okay? And then the list is dfcx response, and then leave it as item. And then, see, I have it, okay. So again, the other half is high level, that you're sending information. So normally what would do is say external API and then call that API, but I'm trying to see how I could just return the item, without sending it through. Okay, what can I do just to show? So some function. I wanted to do something. Okay, let me just create another variable, and we will call it CX responding. Yeah, see, the naming convention, I learned yesterday from the CEO of Xano that you really, you want to choose variable names that you can easily identify, because if they all sound the same, then you can get confused. Okay, so DFCX, each individual response. And then the value is going to be item, because we're looping that through. Okay, so save, and we're going to return dfcx response right here. Let's save, and okay, so I think when we ran this, it asked me how many doors. So I'm going to go into, this is a function. Okay, let's run it. See what happens again. How many doors? Yeah, okay, how many doors? 2, 4 doors, okay. And, okay, so we have that, and then we want to respond back. Okay, so that works. Awesome, DF response. Okay, we got this function. Let's go back. So we got the Google Access token. Yay! I've been like wanting to get this to work so many, I don't know how many months. So simple. Once you learn it, it's like simple. Why did it take me so long? But you know, that's the way things work. Just keep at it. And you'll find someone awesome like Ray Deck, like the team at Xano, who will help you get things done, whatever you're trying to do. Okay, so now we're calling, okay, so that's a function called diff, and then we get a response. Let's do, okay, oh, so I'm gonna do, just again for testing purposes, so create an AP, okay, my first API endpoint. Okay, I'm gonna delete this, because this was created automatically, and let's delete, and you just wanna be really careful when you're deleting. Okay, confirm, delete, confirm, okay. And you can always rename stuff as well. So let's just rename this from default to Dialogflow CX. Okay, and then no, so customers message to DFCX. Okay. All right, so let's save. So we got that. Now we're gonna add API endpoint. Start from scratch. Post. Ooh, okay, so customer message to DFCX API call. Okay, save. Okay, so that's our API. Now the input, like I'll just mimic what the person would like message on their phone to DFCX. But so text, and I'll just call this customers message. Okay, trim. Save, and then we're gonna add a custom function that we created, and it was called call Dialogflow CX. Okay, and again, like this setup, that's not like how I'm using in production because you want to be dynamic. But the whole purpose of actually this video was not this, I'm just going further, but really was how to do that service account setup, which we did, which we know works. But this is just like extra. It's for my own learning, and hopefully you'll learn something as well. Okay, so call function. So we will return this as DFCX message to customer. Okay, and again, like normally you'll use API for the other platform to send your message, post message to them. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but we will see. So DFCX message to customer is right here. Okay, and then I'll just return it as DFCX message to customer, save. So customer's message. Okay, this is, okay, so I'm trying to see how I can input this into here because it's the function. If I click on this function, access token, so this function, okay, create a variable for each loop, create a variable, and then, okay, we're making this API call. So text. Oh, okay, I think this should work. So I'm gonna, here, input, I'm gonna just say customer message. Okay, so customer's message to DFCX, save here in the API, as opposed to this hard code, pass that on, and then the input right here. See, if I try to run this now, it's going to give me this. Okay, and I think how many doors, so it asked the last time how many doors, and we're gonna say, I could say it has 4 doors, or I can just enter the number 4, or I can spell out 4. Okay, so I'll just do it has 4 doors. Okay, so run, and let's see what happens. Okay, what type of auto glass do you need? Windshield replaced? Okay, blah, blah. Okay, so now, okay, good. So we're at this stage where it's asking about the auto glass. Cool. So let's go into our API. So customers message to DFCX. Okay, so we got that. So this is a little bit, so if I try to run I don't know if this is going to work because that function that we have, customers message, okay, I need the shield. Place, so run, See, it didn't do anything. So let's go back to debugger. Okay, so that's what we need to get Google. So this is giving the token, okay, for us to interact. External API. Okay. Okay, response. Okay, what type? So once we have that, okay. Let's, I'm thinking through how to get this to work. Static. Okay. All right. So we're getting the response back here. Now, if I do an API request, now okay, text customer's message to do. Oh, nice. Okay. I think nice. So Xano is helping us. Cool. So let me just make sure. Okay. So customer's message to DFX. Okay. Cool. So that's what we're passing in here. And then in here, see that text that was there. Now we're gonna map it to customer's message right here. Okay. That's what I was thinking. Wow. Okay. That should have been there. So now I don't need to make another API request. Okay, what was the okay? So it was asking us what type of hourglass that we needed, right? Because so one of the as I'm building this out, it hasn't aired out, but I know it does. So if it's at certain stages, if it's asking for something and you don't give it response, I haven't built in no default. This is in Dialogflow CX right here. So for instance, if it's asking me, what was it asked? Like what kind, like here, let's see, car info. Here I want to collect year, make, model, number, doors, and other glass. It was asking me about the other glass. And so now, okay, so I got this. Yeah, if I don't give it what it wants, because I haven't built in, like right here, let's see, maybe, yeah, car info, okay, view. See, event handlers right here. I haven't added any event handlers. So I guess you can, it'd be easier to do it in Dialogflow CX. So if someone doesn't respond to what you want, you can ask it in another way. So like here, Google gives you some options, and of course you can do like your custom. Okay, so that says use a custom event instead of a system built. So for instance, if there's no match, there's an error of some sort, you can rephrase your question so it asks again so it doesn't error out. I think that might be, I'm not sure if it's the best way, but it's one of the ways to deal with that, or to take care of that logic in here in Xano itself. But, so let's run this now. And so I'm going to send this again now, since we've mapped this to the input in here in this function. So I'm going to run it. And let's see what happens. Yes, us. Okay, so now here just giving us that, hey, you said you have a 2018 Toyota Camry 4-door and you need the windshield. Yep. And now it's asking us, does your vehicle have the following features? And I could say yes, it has that, but just for that, no. Would you like to schedule an appointment? And then I haven't fully built this out like with all those other functionalities that Go High Level API provides and then Dialogflow, but I just wanted to show you guys. So I used Xano to create a service account token and then use that to authenticate against the Google service. In this case, it's a Dialogflow CX. In my production-ish environment that I'm building and trying to build, it like all this, like right now I'm just like manually entering in the response, but if you see like my other videos, it's all done dynamically back and forth. Okay, so hopefully you learned something. The most important feature of this video was just how to set up your Google service account so that way you're not constantly, what do you call it? So it's not expiring, or you don't have to, get a new token and so forth. Yeah. Oh my God, this video, it's been a long time. I just wanted to share this with anyone who might find it useful, because I was having difficulties, like the simple stuff that I showed you. Now it's simple because now I know how to do it. I have an example, but I wish someone else had made this type of video that could benefit, and I figured it out with the help of the Xano community, Ray Deck, Xano's leadership team, and community members, and now I just feel like sharing with you all as well. Okay, I'm gonna end this video, and yeah, and I'll be deleting that service key. So hopefully, yeah, I'll be deleting that so that it will not work. Oh my God, I'm so excited about this. This is awesome. Have a good day, guys.